Disclaimer: the following Boundless PodTrap episode contains strong opinions that some listeners may and will find offensive. If you cannot accept or respect others with a differing opinion from yours, then fuck off.
Rolling sound.
I like turtles.
Shush! Oh, righty. Let me see your war face.
Now, y'all ain't planning on fucking these chickens, are you?
Picture it. Sicily, 1920.
Aren't we fucking funny?
Streaming from the Midwest, right in the middle of the U.S. From Omaha, Nebraska, you're listening to the Boundless PodTrap, your entertainment podcast where we touch on all topics, from the crazy and absurd to the sacred and profane, and even the useless and unnecessary. The Boundless PodTrap knows no bounds. And now, here are your hosts.
What's happening, everybody? It's episode BPT 038.
What's happening?
What's happening?
What's
Thank
happening,
you.
hot stuff?
What's happening is you haven't screwed up anything yet, so kudos.
I'm working on it. It's only like, a minute and a half in.
You were a second into one episode, you screwed it up. So
We sat and watched you try to do a promo once. 15
It was actually
takes
pretty
in.
good.
yeah,
But tonight, this morning, whenever you BPT listeners are listening to this, we got somebody in studio again.
we do.
For the
Jeremy,
second
nice
time.
to be here.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for having me here.
Today, the Boundless PodTrap is proud to present the exalted, the demiurgic, the venerated, the voluminous mind and talent of our friend, Lady D, Dorothy Booraem.
Lady D. Is that why you were late, Justin? You were practicing that?
Yeah, so
Honestly, that was probably the best
let her
introduction
do
we've
her
ever had.
intro, man. You're messing it up.
Sorry.
Let's do it again. What's happening? How you doing?
Hi, hi. I'm good. I'm super excited to be here, and that intro was fucking amazing.
I don't like to brag.
That's
Maybe you could give me that as a clip, and I could just play that when I walk into the room, like on my phone. Like, hold up, Chad. Tell him I'm coming.
that's your entrance music now.
Gotta follow her.
Let's do it again because we loved it so much the first time.
Did you make this, Justin?
I'll say yeah.
Okay, you didn't. And that's Crystal in the background singing.
That's me with auto-tune.
That's a pretty amazing intro there.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't get our
We
own
spare no
individuals.
expense.
Yeah. So I figured I'd just do it all out for our.
We don't spare our own expenses. Why didn't anyone tell me this?
You've been sparing your own expense this whole time
Yeah.
for 38 episodes?
You think
plus?
Lunchables are cheap?
Oh. I put it on the card.
I drive 2 hours to get here to do this podcast, and I have to buy my own Lunchables. This
Did you
is
get
bullshit.
lost?
Who's the manager?
So,
And they shorted you cheese.
And they did. The motherfuckers. First time in life. I've been eating Lunchables for 38 goddamn years. Never once got shorted cheese.
And now
We're
you
in the
did.
middle of a war, people. I
Hey,
need that cheese.
That's why.
times are hard, man. Times are hard. Well, the booking community, the BPT booking community was able to
You got a good
bring
one.
on a good one. She's awesome. I love everything you do.
Oh my
I
gosh.
don't really know everything.
It doesn't. No, that's not important. Just the fact that you said it, though,
Okay.
Justin. That's awesome.
I'm trying to get cool points early on. Yeah.
So you're a writer, director, producer. You write books,
Actress.
actress. What all do you do?
Wow. Yeah, I
Oh,
do. Yes.
Before you answer anything, I need you to speak into the microphone that you are here under your own accord. Nobody put you up to this.
No, nobody did put me
All
up to
opinions
this.
and views you agree with, no matter who says it.
No, I can't say that.
She's learned from the first podcast.
Whoops.
So yeah, what all do you do?
Okay. Yeah.
Who are you and what's that?
How did this girl even get here? What is happening?
Start from the beginning.
How are you in my house?
I write, I direct, I produce. Sometimes I act. Yeah, I can't play the guitar. I do like to sing, and I don't know. that's about it. For the purposes of this podcast, that's all we do.
So you sing? So does that mean you play an instrument too?
I was in a band in college. The band was a lot of fun and we were pretty good. And then like our senior year, I was like, so I got an offer to go to graduate school, but I'm willing to put that off or not go if you guys are down to move to, where were we living? Athens, Georgia with me. And everyone was like,
That's not as good as the other Athens.
oh yeah, Grace. Oh yeah, no, my parents would be so mad at me if that's what I did right after college. And I was like, fine, then I'm going to graduate school. But just if they had been like, yes, I don't even know, where would I be right now? Probably in, I don't know.
In a
New
van?
Mexico.
Broke.
Probably, yeah.
Down by the river.
Down by the river. Singing happily.
I don't think have we ever heard you sing? Have you put your stuff in any of the media?
What? That was her singing her intro.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was me singing the intro. No, I bet none of my singing stuff is out there anywhere. So,
So when do we hear that? When you
right
dropping your
now.
next album, yo?
yeah, when am I going to drop my next album? I don't know. That's a good question. I got to talk to my publicist.
Oh,
I'll get you a link.
fair enough. Okay.
No, you're singing right now. We're all just going to stare at you until you.
Waiting for the SoundCloud drop.
All right, here we go. So yeah, that's what I do. Thanks so much for having me here, by the way. You guys are awesome. I'm just so pleased and impressed with all the cool stuff that Omaha does, but you guys coming together and the cool group that you have and what you do, it's an honor.
Well, we thank you for coming out here because
She's jealous.
You had to make a little bit of a trip to get out here, but I have to say I started filmmaking before I knew who you were, but we were at Prairie Lights Film Festival, and I want to say maybe 2014 or something, and I had the Shadow's Edge movie that I had done in it, and you had Blood Rights in it, and I remember seeing Blood Rights, and I was just like, holy shit, somebody local made this. It was the production value, everything was so great. You were even nice enough when I talked to you in the lobby. You gave me, I believe, the screener copy that you gave the festival. I still have it. I bragged that movie up so much to people, and you actually inspired me. Like watching it, it's like, okay, I can get to this level too. So thank you.
So my pleasure. I remember meeting you. I remember seeing Shadow's Edge, and I was like, damn, this is pretty good. And I could tell that you had been like working to put it all together. And believe me, I know about bring it all to put it in the box.
Well, that movie, you were on the last podcast that we were, the movie review, where we reviewed your movie Corruptor. You had said, that one you were trying to do kind of faster. And then you did one where it was a longer, it took 2 years to even get to the editing or whatever. That was the case with The Shadow's Edge. We had filmed it in 2009 and it didn't get released until 2013. So there was a while, and it was because of, our mutual friend Dustin Ferguson. He had contacted me to do a short film in Silly Scaries 2, and then he had found about the Shadow's Edge and how my editor stopped and just gave up on it. And at the time, I had no experience in editing, so he threw it together. I'm like, holy crap. So I have him to thank for getting that done. But yeah, it was definitely a huge learning process, that whole Shadow's Edge filmmaking thing. So
nice. Very nice.
Well, that's our episode. Thanks for
coming out. Yeah.
Such a pleasure to be here. Bye.
I haven't even finished my Lunchable yet.
There's still time, Lonnie.
It's got crumbs on the table.
Well, it might be finished soon without my other fucking piece of cheese.
Calm down about the cheese.
No,
Let it
we'll
go.
never calm down about cheese.
Let it go. So you say Lincoln. You said you were born and raised in Lincoln?
No, I was born and raised in South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Yeah, and I left South Carolina. My third year of graduate school was in Washington, D.C., and I was super excited because I was like, let me out of this state. So I went to D.C., I worked for the Folger Shakespeare Theater for a while, and then from there I was like, Los Angeles. But first I had to make a stop in Boulder, Colorado. So I did that for like a year. And then I was in Los Angeles.
So you got your start in theater.
That's right.
Okay.
So, yep, because I was BA in theater in college, and then I went to graduate school and got an MFA in costume design.
Oh.
And it was like one of those things where it wasn't the costume design was like my total jam, man, but it was offered up to me by a professor that I liked, and I definitely saw it as an opportunity to like do something else other than teaching. My parents were like, be a teacher, and I was like, I could be a teacher.
In a different medium.
But I think I want to do something else.
Yeah. Right on. Where were you? I mean, you were creating stuff before then outside of costume, like stories, etc.
That's true. Like, I got my
ideas?
first opportunity to direct when I was in college. And then as a kid, like, my parents were super into theater. And so I was writing plays for my little brother and sister to be in and stuff.
Oh, that's where it started.
Yeah, that's totally where it started. And then in Boulder, I was working with some people that were making a documentary of the Colorado Shakespeare Festival that I was working for. And I was there to do costume props, but I saw two guys with a camera and was like, hey, what are you guys doing? What's going on? What kind of camera is that? Do you need any help? I was just wondering, like, I'm really good at carrying things.
I put it on this shoulder or this shoulder.
Yeah, and they were like, yeah, you can, whatever. And they ended up inviting me to come out and do like prop production for this film that was being shot in Nebraska, in Blue Hill, Nebraska. Somebody's grandparents.
There's a Blue Hill?
Blue Hill, Nebraska.
I know.
It's near Red Hill. No. Anyway.
Unless you're me, and then it's all Gray Hill.
Oh, Gray Hill, fair. Yeah, color correct it. Right, okay. And yeah, so somebody's grandparents lived there, and they were going to film a zombie film there. And here's the thing is, like, they were shooting on fucking film. And I was like, this shit is cool AF. And we were, like, sleeping in, you know, farmhouses and shooting, like, all over this tiny town. And the guy who was doing the shooting was a guy from LA named Matthew Libatique. And he went on to do all of Darren Aronofsky's films.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like hanging out with people that later like went on to, like, sounds kind of funny but true, direct episodes of CSI Miami or produce The Lincoln Lawyer or, you know, be like a UPM on Lincoln Lawyer. And yeah, it was pretty cool. And from there I made connections where I was like, oh, I'm going to LA. I'm going to be hanging out with these people. They're going to be sorry they ever met me. I'll be sleeping on their couches. And ultimately that is kind of what I did. So yeah, film.
Right on.
The hunger.
So I got my start kind of too in the entertainment industry, theater as well. Behind the scenes, I did about like 11 years, 12 years of theater. Which do you like better, having been in both? I mean, do you like the live aspect of theater or do you prefer the film side of things better?
I prefer the film, even though there is more, I think, anxiety and stress, in my personal opinion, in filmmaking. The end product is so rich and dreamlike that I just prefer it.
Kind of like working out. Like,
What's that?
it sucks to work out, but like afterwards, you're like, man, like I do feel better though.
Right.
It's like I have more energy. You know, that the payoff of seeing your product at the end, it's amazing. And not just that, but seeing the. We're not talking about working out. We're talking about the movie. And then like people reacting to it, the audience and stuff like that. It's like, wow, I poured my heart out and now everybody else is swimming.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
It's true. And it's there forever.
Or leaving the theater because it's
And
much.
and it's there forever.
Yeah.
And fuck those guys. But yeah.
That my first festival experience for the first film I ever worked on that came out, One More Body, sitting in that at the Flatwater Film Festival, watching people gasp and go, bleh. I was like, we did it.
Yeah.
We did it.
Well, you should have been there for when the first Unemployed played at the Prairie Lights Film Festival, because it was quite the opposite, where people were so offended by the raunchiness after every scene, more and more people were getting up and leaving. And even I took pride in that. I was like, well, I
got him.
wrote something that kind of...
Something.
You made them feel something.
Yeah.
That's real.
Feel free to not answer this question, but have you ever killed a man?
Why don't we ever get that option?
I mean, we talked about it off mic, Justin. I don't know why I need to answer the question again.
Well, is there anything incriminating that you want to say on air?
I do it every week.
You know, I've talked to my lawyer, and they were pretty clear that no, I shouldn't. But
Just-
thank you
just thought.
for the
1, 2,
opportunity.
3, 4, 5.
Oh,
Some guy in a mall got stabbed in the neck recently.
I got to tell you guys, One More Body, right, with Sydney.
Mm-hmm. Cindy Hendrickson.
God, that was good. I was so happy that I had gotten a chance to see that. And the slow burn on that thing, that was writing and post-production for you guys. Yeah, it was beautifully cast. Everything about it, I fucking loved. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate it. And that's, you know, Sydney, I don't know, when I saw her, there was something about her that spoke out to me. And I'm like, this girl, you know, she's into acting and stuff. This part would be perfect for her. She knocked it out of the park. She's such a hard, tough critic on herself, which we all are to a sense. Like, everybody's their own worst critic. But I think she's so hard on herself. But I worked with her again in Under the Willow Tree, and again, knocked out of the park. I have always told her that if there's one person that ever asked you to be in their movie, you need to say yes. And that was you, Dorothy. And I know you did ask her. You were supposed to film something with her, but you postponed it because of weather.
Right.
And not because of a film festival. Ugh.
Oh, right. Yeah. No. That's no offense, Omaha Film Festival. I never. Yeah. Anyway, the point is that
why are you rubbing that in?
Is that yeah, after I saw her, and that was the first time I'd ever seen her, definitely I went up and was like, that was amazing. And the people that I was with, we were all like, boy, if we could get a chance to work with her. And literally I'd been thinking like anything. And so then Dustin asked me to film this opening scene for a film that he is re-releasing. And it's a classic chainsaw chase with a clown, because that's how those work. And I'm really excited about it. Classic Dustin. There's a lot going to go on in a short amount of time, but I'm really excited to work with her, and I've been working on a lot of cool ass shit that's going to happen in there. So,
well, I can tell you, she is a director's dream, because
don't
rephrase, cut, start over. That one isn't even going to pass this censor.
That's not bad.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
When you're talking about an underage city, that is bad.
Okay. Sorry. I don't even know how to rephrase that. Okay.
A director's
In working with Sydney, she is a director's dream come true.
No. This kid. Okay.
She's a great actress to work with.
In working with Sydney Hendrickson, she is... Okay. So, in working with Sydney Hendrickson, you will not regret it, because she comes prepared. She will hit her mark every time that she's supposed to be somewhere. She will deliver the same every angle you get. Like, she's just, I wish that she could teach some adults how to come prepared. And she takes her roles very seriously. She's very professional on set, even when you have somebody like Justin who ruins a take by saying
you told me to.
I didn't tell you to do that.
Somebody told me to,
but it was funny anyways. But yeah, you will want to work with her a million times after this. And I've said this to her. I'll say it a million times. She is going to be somebody.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just
her professionality at her age, like her communication, like the way that she deconstructs things at her age. Most actors don't ask about things like that. They just take it and run with it, where she has to know every single detail, which kind of helps build, harden, and cement that character onto the tape, film, whatever.
She understands a thing that I agree. So many people that want to act, or have been thinking about acting, or even are acting, don't think about the extra work that they need to do. Right. They can't just show up. It's like, what does my hair need to look like? I'm going to take some risks when I show up and think for myself, and then also like incorporate with the director. You can literally tell she just jumps off the screen. Yeah.
Well, and when you're talking to her, you're giving her direction. You can tell she's listening and she's absorbing everything. And like some people, when you're talking to them, it's just like, are you even listening to me?
It's like, yeah, I got it. I'll run with it.
Yeah. And then they do the same thing again that you told them not to do.
I got 4 other projects I'm working on, so I'll have time for this.
Yeah.
I always said she reminds me of a young Melissa Shue from The Karate Kid, Adventures in Babysitting.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. Elizabeth Shue. Mm-hmm.
Did I say Melissa Shue?
But I knew who you meant.
Elizabeth Shue.
Yeah.
Yes. She reminds me of a young Elizabeth Shue. My goal is to get her into Cobra Kai to play the younger version of Allie from The Karate Kid.
Oh my God. That's a good call.
She's older than what Allie is in original Karate Kid now, isn't she?
She's a little younger.
Huh?
Anyways, but yeah, no, that's great that you're working with her. So how often do you work with Dustin? Because we had him on, God, was that episode 7 or 6 or something like that? Or episode 4 maybe.
It was early.
But yeah, how many films have you worked on with him?
Gosh, when he was living here in Nebraska, I probably worked on a big old handful of films, like, oh my gosh, Night of whatever, there's a demon puppet doll one that I got to work on with him, and the one that he shot with, oh my gosh, what is her name? Do you remember? It was like Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Oh yeah, with Jennifer Runyon or something
Yeah,
like
Jennifer
that?
Runyon. Yep. She was great. And just a handful of other things, music videos and stuff like that. Now that he's in LA, he probably will get in touch with me maybe every 6 or 7 months and ask me to like pick up a scene that he wants to shoot with an actor there. Or like in this case, he's reusing the same guy that played the role in this film however many years ago that they shot it.
Cody Banks.
And he's going to come out to Lincoln and we'll shoot that scene with him.
Cody contacted me about trying to find the tie for his character because he didn't have it anymore. And he says he's pretty sure he got it from my work when they did it. But yeah, Cody's another great person. He'll do what you want him to do. But
yeah, he was in my film. He was
right. He was a
my film
zombie.
as well, yeah.
But yeah, and we had kind of talked about it's just like Dustin has a very fast paced
100%
to his making movies.
Thing is he has a niche and a following with that. I'm like, well, it works for him. So like, keep pumping them out. They're working.
Yeah, it's crazy because I worked on Meat Hook Massacre with him, and I feel like that was like maybe 7 years ago we did that. Mm-hmm. And looking at his IMDb, it's like Meat Hook Massacre 8. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Well, I don't know.
I was on the second one,
but
I remember showing up to a scene for maybe not even 20 minutes, and I was heading back to Omaha.
Do you like working at a fast pace like that, or do you like to take your time? Like for me, I don't like having time limits on things. I like to kind of take my time, but not too long because then things change and people lose interest. But what's your filmmaking style?
When I was working with Dustin, mostly what I would do is like producing and prop costume stuff. And I enjoyed the fast pace then. But when I'm directing, I really like to take a little more time. My preference is often we don't do a lot of rehearsing before we get to set. I expect people to know their lines, but we will do what I think of as like the scene choreography, and we'll kind of break the scene on set when we're getting ready to shoot. So we might run the scene 4 or 5 times before we ever really start to roll. Now, Chad and I already have a shot list, so that's not the question. The question is, what is really going to happen here? Who can do what and what can they bring for us? How do the energies come together? What's going to be more interesting? Maybe we discover something that makes us want to change the shot list. Like someone has a cool idea that we're going to tweak around. And of course, mostly we're shooting on location. Maybe the location has something to offer us that we didn't know about. Because, when you're shooting micro budget, you don't really get to do as much pre-production as you'd like. Like, let's go in and look at the location and really break it down. What can we do? You're just showing up like, oh, okay, good. What can we do with this?
I worked on something where we accidentally got to use a limo. So it's like, well, shit, let's do it. We got the opportunity. Let's do it.
How do you accidentally get to use a limo?
We were in front of a bar and a limo pulled up. And they dropped off their group and we were like, well, can we use it? We're filming something. They're like, I got nothing else to do. So it's like, yeah, we shot it.
That's great. I remember when we were making Blood Rights, that was my second film. We had a guy show up, and it's so funny that I can't even believe I was going to tell the story now. His name is totally missed me. Anyway, at the time he was running for senator in Lincoln, and we chatted, and he was like, oh yeah, I have theater background. And I was like, dude, you should be in our film. And Chad and I, we were literally already prepping up for the shoot. And I was like, we're writing a scene for this guy.
Yeah, why not?
You should put the pressure on yourself.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah. Sometimes that helps. Do you work well under pressure?
I like to think that I do. I've spent a lot of time thinking about being a good leader for a group. Directing is a lot of things, like you guys have said earlier, like herding cats. And I remember sitting down with Daniel Iskey. He's a filmmaker. You guys obviously know him here in Omaha. And talking to him about what is being a good director like beyond the vision, right? Because all of us here in this room, whenever we are directing, we're also producing, would be my almost 100% guess, right?
Correct.
So you're wearing 2 hats. And you're always thinking about the money and the time as well as your vision. So you're trying to make decisions all the time. But I like to be calm under pressure. I'm not a screamer. I don't like to make people feel shitty. I'm not about humiliating. I'm all about you're here. I hope that you're excited. I'm down for you to be a part of this. If stuff starts to go awry and you're not showing up, you're out. No need to apologize. You're clearly not into it. You don't need to be involved anymore.
That's even if the light guy is just screwing up the scene. I'm professional.
Go with love.
Oh, okay.
Get on out. Go on. Get.
Me and you are done.
Well, and the very first movies I made, obviously,
best.
will never see the light of day.
Well, we already got some of them on YouTube.
Oh, real. I hear that.
Yeah.
But we
But
got some of them on Vimeo where he doesn't go.
I always say every project you work on, you learn something. You should always learn something and then put it towards your next project. And, as you go on, and you try to make your production value higher on each one and stuff, that comes with a lot of, stress and money and stuff like that. What to you is the most stressful thing when filming a movie? And this is a two-part question. What is the most stressful thing during filming, principal photography? And then what's the most stressful thing in post-production for you?
So on every film, at the beginning of the film process, like the production, there is a point where Chad and I look at each other and just go, I'm never fucking making another film again. Fuck this shit.
Yeah.
Fuck all these people. What the fuck are we even doing? And it usually comes because we feel stressed about all of the pieces coming together, especially on that first or second day of filming. Once you get past that first or second day, the machine just starts to run. You know what I mean? And everything tends to come out smoother. But man, coming up to this, because those are the moments when someone suddenly drops out, you suddenly lose like a key location, vehicle, something, anything. Your caterer, I can't even be there, sorry. And you're like, fuck. Or, you show up and like everyone's just looking at you
Lunchables.
like, we don't know how to solve this problem. And you're like, I have 75 things that I'm thinking about right now, and most of them are about how can we make this look fucking good, but you guys don't know where to park. All right, Let's talk about that. So those are the things probably that I hate the most and get frustrated the most about that process. Because here's the thing, and this is just the D&D like fantasy part of me coming out, is every time you step to the camera, you are fighting a battle with time. Time is the dragon. Your team is like, you guys are all there. Your cleric, right? Your paladin, your dwarf, whatever they are. And you're all just like, how can we beat this beast before it fucking beats us? Because that clock is just rolling.
You can't because your mage is in a hole.
Yeah, you have no idea. Like, mage, come on. In post-production,
It wasn't on purpose. You guys could have helped.
I think in post-production, the hardest thing is everything falls away. No one cares anymore. You know what I mean? You've lost the passion. The machine has just come to a and it's just you and whoever your editor is that are just like pushing it forward. And here's the thing is a lot of times after I'm done shooting, I can't even face the footage. And it's not even like it's bad, but all I can see is the flaws in the places where like it didn't come together the way I thought it was gonna. I have had to bring people in as like an energy anchor to just sit with me and be like kind and loving as I force myself to go through the footage and like log it.
Like hit the gong again. Hit the gong.
Oh my God. Or, like we will farm out the logging of footage to friends of ours that are interested in doing it or seeing it. Like, please just rename these files and give us like time code about what is this? What scene was this? Because we do use a slate when we shoot features, but we don't probably in almost every other scenario. But for features, it is really key, especially when you go into the editing process. You guys know you're just
Or
have these
separate
huge,
sound, too.
Yeah, baskets of exactly.
So One More Body was the first movie I edited myself, which I enjoy because there's a lot of times where I'm sitting with an editor and it's like I'm trying to explain something to them and they're not getting it. And because that was kind of the way with Under the Willow Tree, and nothing against the editor of it, but it was like they had to edit it because the footage was so high quality that the program I used for editing couldn't support it. So it was just hard for me to sit there trying to explain. They're not getting it. I wanted to just grab the mouse so bad and just like, can I just do this real quick? But that was frustrating for me. But I was going to ask, like when I was editing One More Body and something would not fall into place no matter what I did, I was just yelling, cussing up a storm. Are you like that? Or are you pretty calm when you're editing and something doesn't go the way it's supposed to be? And no matter what you try, it's just not working.
Like when you didn't get the footage that you thought and the shots that you did get cut together like shit. And you're like, how am I going to fix this? How am I going to fix this? Yeah. So you start kind of messing around, right? Yeah. Oh man. I'm not a yeller, but I do get like cold sweats, especially when I'm like, fuck, that did not work. But then the good news is I do know, like with editing, you do have that final control. So you can usually something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. In the end, everything worked out, but it's
It's
just
true.
like, oh my, there's times where I would have to, it just wasn't working. So I'd call it a day. I'd come back to it the next day and I'm like, oh, all I had to do was do this and it works. So yeah, but I tell you what, editing up here, I haven't really edited anything in our office, but the people across the hall, when I start editing Unemployed W2 when we shoot it, they're going to be in for a rude awakening.
And they would just constantly be like, Jeremy, is everything all right?
I'm fine.
I just
You're gonna
wanted to...
cost a studio around here. It's not part of the contract.
Now, have you filmed anything since COVID?
Yeah, let's see. It came from Bjorn. That was December of 2020, I think. And that was in Flatwater Film Festival. And then we shot another short this past October in 21 called Milo Man, The Legend of Milo Man. Actually, that was with Amos, who came up here with me today. So he wrote it, I directed it, and we co-edited it. So that's like a 20-minute short.
How did that change production for you?
I would say both of those productions were really, really tiny. Whereas before I might have involved more people, it was literally like a crew of 3 and then just as few actors as we could write an interesting story with.
See, we did, when we were doing Under the Willow Tree, we actually had to postpone that because I was feeling sick a couple days before we were supposed to film. And it's like, whether it was COVID or not, I don't know. I just didn't want to chance it. And that was a tough decision because even though it was a small crew and cast, it was still quite a bit of people. And this is something that we were going to enter into the Omaha Film Festival, and we had deadlines for it. So that was the toughest decision I think I've had to make. But luckily, everybody was
cool with
it. They were all agreed. Like I was like, we could do this date. And everyone's like, yeah, no problem. So it's like, I worry about, with Unemployed W2 because that's a huge cast, as you can see from the wall. And these are just speaking parts. These aren't extras and stuff. And it's going to be a bigger crew. Like, I know COVID's over
Nobody
on the
has
downhill
COVID
now, I guess, or whatever. But
we're worrying about gas prices.
yeah, I just worry about, if I have a scene with like 20 cast members in it and like 10 crew members and one of them doesn't feel well, is that going to bring we're going to have to reschedule? I mean, it's going to be quite the production. So it's like, I don't know. I just didn't know your take on COVID and how it affects the filming process.
I can't really speak to that truthfully, but the thing that I can speak about is scheduling is a nightmare. So how great is it that in Under the Willow that folks were willing, they had the opportunity even to reschedule that. Because, I mean, that's probably one of the things recently, especially with bigger projects, that just made me go, I can't even deal with this.
Yeah.
It's too much to try and balance together all these things. And I mean, I know that that's stuff that like feature filmmakers deal with in Hollywood all the time. I think about the way the Royal Tannenbaums was shot, where you get like Gwyneth Paltrow, we've got her for a week, let's shoot all these scenes with her. But when I think about the actors that I typically would work with in the Midwest, it's hard for them. I prefer to shoot more linearly if possible,
right?
Because it's easier for them to track their emotional changes. Yep. Not everyone is like a Sydney, you know what I mean, who's really thinking about it from a big picture and can come to it like that. So yeah, I feel that.
And then you got guys like Justin over here that just ruin everything. No matter what setting is on.
I feel like you're just getting thrown under the bus.
That's what we do here.
We got a bus schedule is kind
he's our punching bag.
Yeah.
I have no fun, apparently. He's our punching bag.
True.
And
as you can see from the sign.
Lonnie burns his feet.
I do. I tried to
fishing.
One time.
2 times. I almost set myself on fire once, and I'm never going to live it down again.
Or I guess 1 time 2 feet. So, yeah.
Fishing is dangerous.
It's a mixed bag. It's a good mixed bag.
Yeah. This is kind of segue into a different segment, and I want to bring it back to the film eventually. But kind of like what Jeremy was saying, one of my very first introductions to you was a piece that I forgot the name, and I was
loved it. What was it?
It was great.
We'll get to it. She actually just cemented it back to me recently.
It had Mel Gibson in it.
So hot.
He was dead the whole time.
I went to a screening of a movie. Well, it was a feature at the time. I guess it was a series, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" Like, I am so intrigued about the use of sets and the dimensional play of everything. And I was like, that is freaking awesome. And that was filmed here, kind of like the same thing that Jeremy was saying with like Blood Rights. And it turned out to be a series called Heartless. And to me, that put your name on my map. I was like, holy shit. Like, so when I saw you in places, like I was actually, I don't know if you want to say starstruck. I was intrigued by you. I'm like, that's freaking Dorothy right there. That's her.
He had your poster in his room.
Yeah.
I'm so flattered by that. I can't even tell you.
But recently, you just dropped a book with the same name. That was just this year, was it?
Yeah.
Right on. That's 2017's Heartless, the book. Oh, we're not even into that. But
Literature.
So good.
Something
So
I
good.
can put in.
you know. Sorry, not 2017. 2017, the Corruptor. I just fucked all that up.
No, I thought it was great. You better
Heartless, the
keep
book.
that.
So yeah, you and what's her name?
Brittany Daly.
Brittany Daly. I mean, you probably had a hand on how much of it is there, like a percentage?
I wrote the bulk of the novel, but what I wanted from Brittany was, I love Brittany Daly so much. She's so talented, but her life is so full. She doesn't have a ton of time for creativity. So I was like, girl, what if you wrote like a couple of short stories from your character's perspective that I could include to like fucking pad out this book that's, I don't even remember how many pages it was. It felt like a little novella to me. And she was so sweet and was like, yeah, 100% I'll do that. And then she did, which in itself is awesome and amazing. And so I just incorporated those. She wrote, I wrote, and then I did all the editing for everything.
Gotcha.
And then was like, I'm fucking putting this together as an ebook. And you know, if you guys have done any self-publishing, like you're trying, it's just like editing. You're just trying to make it as professional as possible. So you're like fucking checking all the boxes, putting all together and
grammar.
checking all your correct. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then like prepping it up for how ebooks look at the blah, blah, blah. Boring ass shit. But you jump through the hoops because that's what you want.
Right.
Yeah.
It's another, like, I mean, listeners can find that on the Kindle Play Store or whatever on for 99 cents.
That's
for not even $1.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Smashwords.
Right.
Yes.
So and it's only 181 pages. Granted, I did not finish it. I'm actually at the last chapter right before Dahlia's.
I'm sure it was great.
Journals.
I don't know.
So
glad. I'm excited to see how it finishes, and I'm going to say a name later on. Right now, we're going to kind of do like a minor book review. I don't want to reveal. I'll let you reveal as much as you want to reveal. But man, I had some vibes on this that was like, this is freaking cool because I started reading this and then I messaged you. I'm like, this reminds me so much of some work that you did. And you're like, yeah, it's the same thing. It's Heartless. I'm like, okay. So I haven't seen Heartless in what,
2013 is when we were shooting it, but I bet we did not finish it until like 2017.
Oh, really? I feel like it was longer than that. But
it was probably a long ass time.
Yeah. So it's been over 5 years and it was like, yeah. And I was intrigued by it again. And like so many things that you put in it, like the actual locations, although like one of the addresses for like the storage thing was like a number or two off. So it was like maybe for rights or something you were trying to.
Correct.
Okay.
But what does the numbers mean?
The address.
Oh, okay.
Where to find it, dummy?
Stupid. Yeah. So I'll give the Heartless synopsis.
Please.
Do you know it by heart?
No. Please.
So the Heartless synopsis is: meat hearts have no magic. Without a shadow heart to compress, harness, and bend energy, you're screwed. Magically speaking, Alex Crawley was born with a shadow heart. Now, thanks to his father, he's heartless. For the past 10 years, he's been searching for his father. Now he's close to finding him. Alex's plan is simple: find his father, get his heart back, kill his father. What could go wrong? Damn. So that's the synopsis of it. And
I didn't have a chance to read it. I am going to read it, but just that, I'm like, holy shit.
He's not going to read it. I said, are you going to read it? He's like, fuck that. So
words.
We haven't really.
Look, Lonnie already gave me the word on you guys. And Justin, from that, I just appreciate so much you reading it. So
thank you. It's very entertaining, and it's right up my alley too. So yeah, we haven't really done a book review. I mean, I guess we done one book review on this, which was Mark Z. Daniel.
You did a book review. Lonnie and I sat here.
I read the book he
House of
reviewed.
Leaves.
I think
I flipped through it just to see how weird it was.
It'll fuck you up.
From someone who has OCD though, trying to look through and read that book. I read it in ebook form where it wasn't all fucked up, but from
write it.
Right, I righted it. Yeah, but from actually seeing the copied novel in front of me in my hand, I could look at like 30 pages and I'm like, no, take this away. I'm going to have a fit. I couldn't do it.
It's daunting. I mean, we tried giving something to Jeremy, like a 12-page child's book, and he was
I read it to him all the time.
He got freaking meat sweats looking at it.
You don't want to eat me. I'm not that delicious. My beans are refried, and my cheese looks suspicious. Would you rather have a hamburger or pizza, please? Or how about a big bowl of macaroni and cheese? It's not done.
You don't have any cheese.
Oh, we're going to just stop it right
Yeah,
We're on Heartless right now.
enough cheese. This can't continue.
So how did, I mean, the book, for me to ask you how Heartless came to be as far as like the book, it came because of the series. And you just want to, I think you pretty much
It's true.
capsuled that.
Well, you know, I want to write books that are longer than that, but here's something that I've discovered. It is very difficult for me to write an original story that has no other structure to stand on. I would always stop at like 7 pages, and I just couldn't figure it out. I just had cool ideas, but they didn't seem to connect anything. And so Heartless, the novel, was like a learning process for me. I was like, I really liked this script, and the writing process for it was great. What if I novelized it? And what would that be like? And it was cool because, interestingly, like in the novel, like things came to mind where I was like, oh man, I wish that we'd known this when we were making the the series. It would have been cooler and tighter. And there were scenes that I added in that didn't exist in the series. And so it was a great experience.
Right. And there's more that you can do with the book than you can the series as well.
Because that's why that fucking series took so long to finally drop. This is how Chad and I often approach anything that involves effects work, which is we're like, well, let's just green screen it and then we'll figure it out later. And I can't even tell you, like, we hired effects artists from India, like 2 guys, to help us put those effects together because we couldn't find anyone here that really, I don't know. I can't remember the process we went through, but I remember going like, hey, there's this one board where these VFX artists like hang out. A lot of them are for India. Let's hire one of those guys. And so then Chad ended up being like the effects supervisor. Like, this is what we're looking for. Here's like some mood board aesthetic stuff for you guys to look at. And then they would like cut stuff together and like create all the blah. And that's great because at the end we're doing like this rooftop thing. And I remember just being like, we'll just cut the blue sky out around Karis. And there's like these huge shots of her where every freaking thing is like rotoscoped out. It's just like, jeez. What was I thinking? That's all right.
This
now it's done.
Judging, I guess, by this writing, or not just from the book, but like your projects, your films, and all that. I kind of equate you to, and not a lot of people like her, but I am a fan of her, and she just recently passed. So I pretty much equate you to like what Anne Rice is to vampires. So you are to witches. So it's like that's pretty cool.
That's freaking awesome.
But in the book Heartless, so you have like these people who are considered magicals. It sounds like it's more like a bloodline thing. So you are born into like a magical. Is that how it is? Otherwise, there is tech that can also kind of do something like that.
Sort of, yeah. It is kind of complicated in the idea of I was working with like, I feel like actual people do have energy that some people can sort of manipulate. Like you talked about chakras at some point. I'm kind of a fan of chakras as like an energy point. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if like magic was the ability to like compress and push that energy out through your chakras? But you'd have to have like a thing that not everybody was born with to do that. And that's where the shadow heart comes into play. They're mutants with their shadow hearts and their magic abilities.
It all makes sense now. Yes. So it's like pretty much magicals have 2 hearts. So I mean, like humans only have the one, and then you have like that shadow one, which kind of is your harness or what causes you to wield such powers.
Correct.
And not everybody shares the same thing, which I liked about this is because it was different. Like you had, I don't know if you want to call it mining magic, like is it like digital mining, like you can store it, or how does it produce? Like your mind just kind of works with it, and that's the good thing about a book because it leaves it open. And that was kind of beautiful for it. In your studies or followings, all this, like where do you draw like the most inspiration when it comes to witchery? Like is it general pagans, Celtics, like Asatrus, mystics, shamans, druids, Dianic witches, etc.?
No, all of that tracks. I have an aunt who's a pagan priestess in North Carolina, and so For most of my life, that's been something that she's been super into, and I'll hear off and on about all of that. And my dad was super into tarot, which is weird when you consider he was also evangelical Christian, but I can't
That doesn't go.
I don't know what's up with that.
That's a form of divination, so they say, and that's kind of a...
Against like what I would think. But so, yeah. And, you know, I definitely read my fair share of fantasy, and I was fascinated by the idea of women that could control power and use it however they got it. I mean, obviously you can approach that through like the devil aspect, but you can also approach it through like the natural world aspect. So the occult has always been something that I've been side interested in.
Well, and this book has a lot of like Aleister Crowley.
Exactly.
Like, and not only that, but so I do have a theory, and I haven't finished it, so I can't entirely say so. Like
Why?
my favorite
You bring up
character,
theories you don't understand all the time.
I've got a theory.
my favorite character in this so far has been the Justice character. She's because I can't plant her just yet. So Aleister Crowley and Cthulhu kind of share the same universe in this, and Justice isn't so much a human or a magical. It seems like I was like, is she an old one or a deep one, or is she from like the Cthulhu
She's
style?
clearly from another universe where she is a much bigger and scarier thing, right? And this little pinhole star that we see of her in this is, I'll be honest with you, I'm not even 100% sure what she was. If I was to write something that really like detailed that more, but you are absolutely right in the sense that she is a larger deity.
Right. And just for her name, Justice, because she is constantly balancing two things at once, it seems like who she actually is, her actual desires for Alex, and she's as Justice, the Liberty Justice. She follows the book, which she follows the night book. And I guess I was just kind of putting that together for that. But
I can't think of her as an old one, and this is only because old ones are so terrifying and giant with their tentacles and like eyes in places that they shouldn't be, that surely that's not what she is.
other side characters, did you attempt?
No, because you never finished it.
I didn't need to finish it.
I was going to take your copy.
I don't. It's digital. It's digital.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. No. So Rob and Ariel, I kind of see them as like the bishop and the rook or castle or whatever. Like one's like extremely rigid, and the other one's a little like she's straight to the point, cut and cross. And I couldn't also place them early on. They were fun characters, just kind of pestering back at each other and all that. Like, yeah.
They make me laugh because they're in love with each other, but they just can't even accept it.
Yeah, they try to save each other so much, but she kind of talks like, I don't care. She has that I don't give a shit mood.
Right.
But you're releasing this book earlier this year, and I wanted to pull you on to discuss a lot of this. And I'm excited to get to the Dahlia, the diaries. Is that going to be very captivating as well? I mean,
goddamn, I hope so. Yes, 100% it will be captivating.
I will give you a 1-star review if it does.
If it does not follow through.
Fantastic
Brittany,
novel.
do not let me down.
Yeah. And because I feel like at this point, I mean, especially since it ends with Dahlia does stuff. No, I feel like she's going to be coming back. But yeah, the way that you wrote this is very easy to read. The terminology, it works well. It doesn't daunt you. It's not overwhelming. Even young readers, teen readers and stuff like that, I think they would really enjoy this book.
What about me?
You probably not. Because all I have to say is 181 pages. And you're like...
But the way you're describing it, I am, and I'm not just saying this because she's sitting 5 feet from me. Excuse me, 6 feet. Social distancing.
If you like this series, I think you would like this book. I tried to rewatch the series. I probably got maybe a half hour in. It's 55 minutes or so.
That's probably
at least the feature. The feature.
Yeah, cut all together.
The feature is all of the series, right? You didn't have to.
That's right. Yeah,
Okay.
no, we just cut it all together. We originally wanted to do some additional shooting, and I was working pre-pandemic kind of hard at getting James Marsden. He's the guy who played Spike in Buffy to play Alex's dad.
Didn't he pass?
Good Lord, I hope not, but maybe he did. Anyway, but he was still doing bit parts on Hawaii 5-0, but I was like, for just a couple $1,000, could you maybe give us a day, 8 hours? We could go out to LA and shoot some stuff with you. It never really came together, but it would have been a nice addition to the feature, and it would have been a sweet ass name drop. So maybe someday. Yeah.
Oh yes, one day.
One day.
But yeah, no, the way that
He
you
is still alive.
Okay, cool.
Oh, thank
I think
goodness.
we were all Googling at the same time.
I should have.
That guy's great.
Whatever.
Anyway.
No sound effects here. So yeah, no, it's an easy to read. The relationships, they all have like their own dams or obstacles, and it works itself out well. Kind of a fast resolve, especially between Alex and Dahlia. It's like how fast they were supposed to, I mean, but they probably know each other well enough that they, I don't know if you want to say get over things, but I did like that they were able to find something to possibly team up to face Papa Bear.
Right in that moment, yeah.
And I haven't, where I'm at, I'm probably like 154 pages or so. So I have a good 30 pages left. The initial fight between Alex, is it Betty? Betty?
Oh, Bête Noire.
I didn't know how to pronounce her name. I was like, Betty? Is it Betty?
We could call her Betty.
But yeah,
Betty
so
Noire.
Injustice, that got me hard. Parasite Eve, well, I should probably not put
Wait,
space.
what?
That got me hard Parasite Eve vibes.
Oh, got you.
Did you?
Off the rails.
There's a bit of a
I'm
Sorry.
definitely
No,
reading
good,
it
yeah.
now.
phrasing.
That's how I wrote that.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
Were you a fan of like the Parasite Eve games back in the day?
Holy crap, no.
Oh.
Tell me a little bit about them.
It's
I wasn't at all.
it's more Japanimated, like PS2 game. Like if you, I'll send you a link to that.
Yeah,
like,
you 100% should send me
they
a
do
link
have
to
like their animation back then. That was like, whoa, the storyline was freaking captivating. Like at the end when it's kind of a possession, if you will, but like they have like this elaborate fight, and this is like a rooftop fight, and it reminds me of like the helicopter pad fight in Parasite Eve. But it's like, I imagine, because you said that Justice kind of grows to like 9 feet in her form.
Yep.
And it was like, I'm thinking even bigger than that, because I mean, like 9 feet is intimidating as fuck, but
But is it giant?
yeah,
No.
I want to. And then, like, you know, the way that you use the symbols to open doorways and voids, and are those just for doorways? Can it be like a box? Is that how the book was taken?
Taken.
Or did they physically go in?
When I looked at it in the series, we always just used it for doors because I thought that would be cool. But the idea of expanding it into boxes was something that I had thought about, that anything essentially that you could open could become a door. I never talked about it in the novel, though, so maybe stop reading my mind and shit.
I'll try not to. But no, it was a very compelling story. Again, I think I might be extremely biased because I saw the Heartless series feature, etc. Can people see the Heartless?
Wow, that is a good question. I should send you guys a link. For a while, Chad and I had pulled it down because we were thinking about releasing it as a feature, and we were pro blah, 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 blah. Then the pandemic and etc. So yeah, let me do that. I'm going to make a note to myself on this piece of paper that Lonnie's given me, unless that's not cool.
Yeah, no, it's got two sides.
Sweet. Hey, thank you so much for reading it. Like, you know, as a writer and honestly, as a filmmaker, anytime someone takes the time out of their day to like experience something you've made, you're like, you've just given me a gift. I can't even tell you. But also the opportunity to like talk about it with other people and hear things that they saw that you didn't think about or ways that they like perceived things. Man, I can't even tell you. It was a pleasure to write it, but it's more of a pleasure to have a chance to talk about it with you guys.
So I have to ask you this. You've written screenplays and you've written a novel. Which one do you enjoy better? Like I really would love to write a novel. I like the Glam Girls modeling group I used to do. There's so much of that story that never saw the light of day, and I've changed it over the years. I'd like to make a movie out of it, but man, that would be a huge budget for that. And there would be a lot of special effects and stuff. So it's like writing it in book form, I think would just be easier. I'm quoting the word easier. But what are the differences to you in writing both those, and which do you find more relaxing, easier to do? Because me writing descriptive words is going to be hard to put it in like a prop novel form.
Like red, blue.
Yes.
orange, school.
Triangle.
See, my not even 2-year-old can do that.
That's a great question because it's something I've thought about a bunch. So here's what I think about when I think about writing screenplays. Honestly, those are to some degree easier. You just have to learn to kind of rein yourself back to the resources that you have available, or fuck it, write whatever you want and, you know, try and sell or have someone else make it for you. But the thing that I have found for myself a lot, and I see this in my movies, is I like to get real baroque and kind of complicated. I like to see those side characters. What's their life like? What are those interactions like? And it bloats up a movie. My theory is that movies should be simple. A simple story, a simple, 90 minutes to 2 hours max, because it's the visuals and what the actors bring to the story. So you can have, you can tell the same story a million fucking times. Like, I don't know, like Die Hard's one of my favorite movies, and you can see, that storyline's in a million places. But every time it's told, it's a little bit different actors, a little bit of different style. You don't need, weirdly, that much when it comes to story in movies. You just need it to tie up nice and be easy to follow. That, I think, is one of the flaws that I perceive in my own screenwriting. Now, the only time that's maybe I feel like has been better is when we wrote Heartless, because I wrote Heartless as kind of a group. It was me, Chad, and our friend Mike Johnson. And I would come in and be like, I need this to happen. And they would brainstorm, and I'd be like, oh, that's a great idea. Because when I'm writing on my own, there's a whole lot of like, I don't know, maybe if I add a new character, you know what I mean? And then you get to the end and it's just like this giant, bloated, awesome weight. So I told myself, I was like, I'm going to give myself permission in writing novels to just be like, whatever you want. You want to add a new character, do it. You want to write like 5 scenes about whatever is important in their life that doesn't really fucking matter, that's fine. But what happens is, even in this scenario, I feel the burden of creating a narrative that is, you can get your arms around it. It can't have all these tentacles that are like flailing off in some random direction. And so I would say, screenplays are honestly easier to write because I feel like they can be simpler, and I can constantly just got to pare that down, Dorothy, pare it down. But novels feel like they give me so much satisfaction because as a kid, I was a huge reader. And so being able to write a novel and then have someone read it and talk about it, or read it and be like, oh, this part was really cool. It's like, oh.
I have a few more of those I want to knock out, and then we can move off of Heartless if you want. But you do have a gem in here that I feel like you should polish. There is a awesome, like, you can make this a children's story. You have, what is it, on around like page 100, there's a Once Upon a Time type of thing. And it was an awesome, like, children's story, kind of like a returning to innocence. Do something with that. That would be awesome. Make it a children's book.
Quit bossing her around, dude.
Yeah. Do you do this to everybody?
No, it's an awesome.
Put the gun down, man.
No, don't.
Jeremy, no, really, I will. No, I'm just kidding. But is it the story about?
So the Once Upon a Time, there was a brother and a sister who were born into magic, and it's like once I don't know, it's probably because I was already reading up into it or how much invested I was into it, but like, you already have so much with it that like it writes itself, and you can, I mean,
like a prequel.
Yeah, and at least once they finish this 50 times when they're a kid, they can move on to
read this.
Yeah, write that down.
Quick making a note.
10%. That's all I'll charge.
So also another question I had about so the Heartless, the people who have been their hearts have been removed. And Alex is referred to as the beast. Because somebody's heart is removed, normally they wouldn't be able to use pass-through magic,
exactly.
would they?
That's correct.
Because he has some sort of, I guess when they keep on calling him a beast, I'm thinking of a beast as something big. I'm like, I haven't really...
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Is it because he's just like so scrappy or something like that? That's why they call him a beast?
Well, now is where we're coming up against my flaw as a writer. Things like him being called a beast feels cool to me because I think that magical beings would see him as someone who had been magic. So it's kind of like losing the conscious part of your brain. Now you're just an animal. Gross. You're a beast, just digging into earth.
It's more of a insult, not necessarily
and not something that they're necessarily
something to be feared or whatever.
Disgusted by it. Oh, they don't want that. But the thing is, like, how can he work that magic? And to my mind, it's kind of by will alone. It's his desire for revenge and the anger that he feels in how he was done so wrong and hurt by so many people that weirdly makes him able to still tap into some of that magic. He shouldn't be able to. He should be dead. Magicians can't live without their shadow hearts, but he did. Because fuck his dad. Just fuck that guy.
It's like, I'm going to live because you suck.
Yeah, I'm going to live to kill you.
There's also another thing I think you can go further with as well. Like, I wanted to know, I mean, this can go even darker too. Like, all the failed agents, they go to the underground. So it's like, what's this place? This is kind of, let's go here. A few more. One of my favorite lines here was like, unicorns love malls.
Yes. Oh my God, Justin. I love that line so much when I wrote it.
That was also the bookstore. I guess it is a bookstore. The book maze. It's like Justice is leading him through like this book maze, and then she sort of disappears. I mean, like she takes her routes, and he's like lost in his own mentals. It sounds like there's delusions happening at this point, and he's stuck in the self-help spot. It's like, you don't realize that you are the only person. It's like, it's right there. It's in front of you. Yeah. But
yeah, that's true, because she wants to have a relationship with him, and all he can think about is all the women that have used and abused him, and he's just like, I can't,
right.
Freeze up.
It's like, she's supposed to be like a godlike, I mean, she's a step away from true deity. It seems like once she, what is it, like the star kind of grants her, like the gods or something like that can kind of make her one of them or something like that.
Yep.
But she just wants to get, I don't know if I want to say take it to Pound Town, but she's been reading him.
She's super hot for his action, for real. Yeah, she wants to be his girlfriend.
It's more innocent. I just said it kind of dirty, but it's an excellent book.
Is that the part that got you hard?
No, it's an excellent book. I definitely recommend it. Check it out. Heartless. There's a few covers, it looks like.
That is true. That's right.
I got the neon pink cover with the heart. And
who does the cover art for you?
I did the most recent one, the neon pink one, but I have a friend out in California, Nikki Meeks, and she did the cover.
The beige. Half face.
The half face one. Yeah. And then I think Mike Johnson also did a cover version for me too. He's a good graphic artist as well. So
So check it out. 99 cents on the places.
Amazon. Barnes and Noble. Smash Words.
I have a suggestion for you with this. Do you have
some notes here?
Do you have an audio version of it?
No, but I have been thinking about doing an audio book of it.
I think, and I'm being for real, dead serious when I say this,
that I should.
Because Justin, you're sitting here watching.
He's being serious.
I am being serious.
Okay.
Like, this is the first heartfelt thing I've said about you. Your excitement in talking to her about this is just like radiating off of you. And I think having him read it, I think you would get,
it cost a lot.
You would get that excitement that the listener would want to hear when somebody's reading it to him. So that's just my 2 cents. If you ever decide to do that, I think he'd be good at doing it.
You want me to read it again?
Oh man.
I keyed. But yeah, no, amazing book. I recommend it for everybody. 5 out of 5 stars.
Sweet.
Nope, wrong one. There it is. It's about to dun it.
Dun dun dun.
To be continued. Man.
But yeah, do you have anything else that you wanted to drop with Heartless?
No, that's all of the good things. Yeah, please read it and listen to Justin. He's right.
This is true.
For once.
Do we want to break this up, Lonnie?
Yeah, Dorothy, something we do with all our guests who comes through. We like to have a little game, just to show our camaraderie and to have a little fun. And I was so excited to have someone who is also into literature and into writing so much that I can finally do this, because I work with 2 utter buffoons when it comes to reading.
You think that's an insult to me?
I do a lot of writing.
So I have a kind of a little quiz that we're going to go through, and it's all based on our literature knowledge, but to make it fair for you guys, I made it all on horror literature.
Oh, okay.
Make it fun for you. So I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to get 15 seconds. That's why I gave you a piece of paper. Write down your answer.
Right now?
Well, when I ask the question, yeah, sure. And then at the end, I'll have you read your answers, and you'll get a point per answer. You're right. Now, these are only authors' names or the title of the book. So, any questions? I've tried to make some easy, but some are, I guess, more difficult.
The only thing we can write down is a title of a book or the author or an author name.
Yeah, those are the only 2 answers.
Is it a point?
Just point per answer.
Gotcha. So if you got both?
Oh, gotcha.
Or are you doing
No, it's either one or the other. There's only one question where it's both.
Okay.
And I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Oh, I will. All right. You get 15 seconds on each, and I'll skip to the next. Are you guys ready?
No.
Yes.
All right. Like I said, some are softballs, some you're going to have to work on.
I didn't study for this.
Good.
Can we use our phones?
No.
Okay.
If you can Google it in 15 seconds. All right.
What about calculators?
Number 1. Which is credited as Stephen King's first published novel?
I don't know that shit.
Stop!
Jeez.
All right. Sorry, that was a little loud.
Yeah.
Apologize. Number 2. What was Oscar Wilde's only novel? Famous short story writer, Oscar Wilde, or poetry writer. Number 3. What was the best-selling horror novel of the 60s?
Of the 1960s.
Yes, of the decade.
This is actually quite easy.
Yeah, I told you some were softballs. So, number 4. So, one of the books we all grew up with and we loved, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. But who actually wrote Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark? It's an iconic cover. You know it when you see it. You can probably tell me all the stories in it, but who actually wrote it? Next. Number 5. This one's tougher. I understand if you don't get this one. This Australian native has many USA Today bestsellers like Hunted and Craven Manor. But what was her first published work? This is a twofer if you want. You get a point for each of them, but it is author and her first novel published. Number 6. This author has released such amazing novels as The Heart-Shaped Box, Horns, and Nosferatu, and is trying to live outside of the shadow of his iconic father. Who is that writer? One of my personal favorites, in my top 3. Don't tell me you don't read. 2 of his works are a TV show and a movie. I just laid out, so.
From like the 1910s?
No. Close. All right, number 7. This author's career took off after his debut novel in 1971, but many enjoy his second novel, Legion, in 1983 just as much. Who is that author, and what was his debut novel? Question number 8. One of my favorite novels, I have it tattooed on my body, that's in sight pretty much most of the year, is just a mere 1,138 pages. What is that book?
You just wanted him to talk about his body again.
Yeah.
Wild Horse.
Do it slower now?
With a French accent.
All right, number 9. Reading this nonfiction novel got me into horror literature and taught me about 2 of my biggest vices. Those vices are Ed and Lorraine Warren. What's that novel? And this is something we have discussed on the podcast before. All right, and number 10. This triple threat from the capital city has been putting out amazing writing and content from the mid-2000s and shows no sign of stopping, but only picking up the pace. What author am I talking about?
Come on, Justin. This is a cakewalk.
I got this.
I'm wondering if you put down one serious answer.
Me?
Yeah.
Maybe a couple.
All right. Gentlemen and gentle lady, I'm going to read the questions again, and then I want your answers. All right. Number 1, which was Stephen King's first credited novel? What do you got?
I know it's wrong, but I put The Shining.
Okay.
Carrie.
Carrie? What do you
Cujo.
got? It is Carrie.
Woo!
She cheated.
She cheated by knowing Stephen King. All right. What was Oscar Wilde's only novel? And this is a horror thing, so it was a horror novel.
The Great Gatsby. It was a horror to read
It
that.
was not The Great Gatsby. Jeremy, anything?
Yes, I put Steel Magnolias.
Close. Dorothy,
I gotta
anything?
be honest, no. I put The Importance of Being Earnest because I could not think of it.
That was a good play I worked on.
And this is a surprising one. I didn't know he wrote it either, but The Picture of Dorian Gray.
That was my second guess. Gosh.
it?
I was just looking at that on the Play Store, the bookstore today.
Yeah, Oscar Wilde's Picture of Dorian Gray.
Wow.
What was the best-selling novel of the 60s? Number 3. Jeremy, I'll start with you.
This one was obviously Steel Magnolias.
Close. Dorothy?
I put Skyscraper because I was thinking about like all of those movies like, oh, flood, earthquake, blah, blah, blah. That's all I got. Sorry.
Justin?
Skyscraper.
I put Frankenstein, but I also want to say Vertigo.
In 1960s, not 1860s.
They had a rediscovery and like booming.
Just really, what was it?
It was Rosemary's Baby.
God damn it.
That's close to Steel Magnolias.
Should have known.
It's got plant in it, rosemary and magnolias. Yeah, almost. Who wrote Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark?
I know this is wrong, but I just put R.L. Stein.
You were close, but he wrote books as well.
I also put R.L. Stein.
Interestingly, I put Jack Black, who played R.L. Stein in a movie because I couldn't remember R.L. Stein.
See, everybody knows that book.
I can picture the cover.
It's an iconic book, but no one knows who wrote it.
Chevy Chase.
It's Alvin Schwartz.
What? No.
Yeah.
Mel Brooks' pen name?
You can call me Al.
All right, this one's tougher. I understand if you guys don't get it, but running this hot, I'm not going to be surprised. This Australian native has a ton of USA Today top sellings, like Hunted and Craven Manor. But what was her first name, or what was her first published work?
I bet you $100 you can guess what I wrote down.
Steel Magnolias.
Correct.
And what was the author?
Sally Fields.
Close.
I just went with J.K. Rowling, who I know is Australian, and her first book, I believe it was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Is that right? Am I right?
No.
God damn it.
Close, though. She is Australian.
Right?
V.C. Andrews. And
I'm just going to stop you there.
Damn it.
But P.S. That's a good one.
It is Darcy Coates
That's pretty much.
and Ghost Camera.
It's a pennant.
I think she was in Steel Magnolias.
I recently fell in love with Darcy Coates. Even every single one of her books is The Haunting of, The Haunting of, Ghost Camera, Hunted, The Haunting of. Absolutely love her, though. All right. This author has released such amazing novels as Heart-Shaped Box, Horns, Nosferatu, but is trying to stay out of the shadow of his iconic father. What author am I talking about?
I put something King.
You're close. You're on the right track. I think I'm going to give you half a point for that.
Is it? I was wanting to say Stephen King's son. Yeah,
I can't think of his first name, but
I know that's what you wanted to say, but what's on your piece of paper?
I put Johnny Depp from the Stephen King movie Secret Window.
It was actually not a story. It was actually a short story, and it was called...
That was based off of his son.
Oh, no. He wrote that book in like the early 80s. Well, I guess he would have been alive.
So I get a point?
Sure.
I put Joe Hill.
That is the one. That is the one.
Wait, from his dad who sold propane and propane accessories?
That's why he goes by Hill. He doesn't want people to be like, oh, this is just Stephen King's side, whatever.
But if you look at them, they're pretty much doppelgangers. Like, it's disgusting how much they look alike.
That's a word we learned.
Yeah.
Nice. The German word. Doppelganger?
All right. This author's career took off after his debut novel in 1971, but many enjoy his second novel, Legion, was released in 1983 just as much. Who is that author, and what was his debut novel?
I put...
Steel Magnolias?
I put John Candy and Uncle Buck.
Oh, the other one. Okay. You were so close. Not one word you said was right, but I liked your spirit, kid.
I said Dean Koontz, but I could not think of one of his novels. So.
Fair enough.
Sorry enough.
Justin,
I put
after Googling it.
Elsie Minarek, Little Bear.
Yeah, that is incorrect. Okay. The answer I was looking for was William Peter Blatty, and that book was The Exorcist.
Say that again.
By William Peter Blatty.
You said you were sober tonight.
Blatty. That's probably the problem.
Blatty.
Just so you know, my next three answers are real answers.
Are they real answers? Good for you.
Good work.
Good for you.
It's really
Probably
still
wrong, but...
Number 8. One of my favorite novels, I have the tattoo of it on my body, comes in at a mere 1,138 pages. What novel is that?
I put It.
Okay.
I put clearly that is the writer's cut of the Stephen King novel that I cannot fucking think of the name of right now because it's great, but it's the Plague novel. That's how I think about it. So
The Stand?
The Stand. That's what I was thinking.
Half a point.
I don't remember the name of it, but Michelle Obama wrote it.
So Jeremy gets a point.
You guys need to study Lonnie's body better.
I do.
That was it?
Thank you.
Nice work.
I can suck up.
But can you? Never mind. All right, number 9. Reading this nonfiction novel got me into horror literature and taught me about my 2 biggest vices, Ed and Lorraine Warren. What novel am I talking about?
Amityville Horror.
Nice. Amityville Horror.
Nice. 2 points.
Can I just say Amityville Horror?
You can.
Okay. Not that it's
Can.
gonna matter.
I'll let it go. All right, and number 10, this triple threat from the capital city has been putting out amazing writing from the mid-2000s, and she shows no sign of slowing down.
So I don't think this is correct. I don't even think this is their real name, but I just put, is it H.P. Lovecraft?
It's weird because I also put H.P. Lovecraft.
Did you?
Justin?
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson?
Triple threat.
Dorothy?
Yes, H.P. Lovecraft.
Is that really what you?
No, sorry, I got nothing. Nothing.
All right. For that one, I put Dorothy Booraem.
You said triple threat. She's more like a octo threat. Octo threat.
She did go by H.P. Lovecraft at one point, I think.
Pen name, H.P. Lovecraft.
She wrote her name on the paper.
And anyone listening to this, please do not Google H.P. Lovecraft. It's not going to come out good on your search history.
It's just love.
Lonnie hearts. Ding, 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 ding.
So it's pretty obvious I won that one.
Yeah, I mean...
Wait, I don't know if Steel Magnolias was all the right answers that you thought.
That's always the right answer.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting that together. That was super fun.
I love someone I can actually talk to horror novels about. And I give these two a lot of crap about it, but...
I don't read fiction. Rarely do I read fiction, and horror is usually not the one that goes up top.
Right.
So,
and I came from being on the road a lot, from being 12 years old to being 30 years old. So being able to have a book in my hand for many hours in the car, it's something I took into.
Probably focus on the road.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't learn to drive until I was like 31 years old. Huh. I still don't know how.
Well, you see,
according to my wife.
For me, it just comes down to time as well.
Right.
I just don't have time to read because I'm always doing something, working, creating a project, writing something. By the time I would have time to read, it's late at night. And again, I will start reading the words, and not only am I tired, but I'm just thinking of other things. Well, I mean, I would love to read, but I just don't have the time.
Well, and as much of a cinephile as I am, and this is no bullshit lie, I didn't get a TV until I was 26. Jeez. Like, I'd watch movies at theaters, and I'd watch them on DVD and maybe at my friends' houses, but actually owning a TV in my house, we didn't get it till me and Tracy's third place to live.
And now she can't get your ass away from the TV.
No, now we have 5 in our house.
They're stacked in front of each other.
Does the ghost watch one?
I don't know if him and Moxley still watch cartoons or not.
He's just floating in a room. Like,
yay! But that was my novels question. Thank you all for playing.
Well, thank you for that.
The guest is still winning.
Right about
all
now.
All of the games.
That kind of sucks.
Get
didn't study
better.
for this. I know. The guests are always better.
How's your chest, by the way,
I
Justin?
didn't give you an opportunity to study for the quiz.
I was healing. I needed some me time. My chest is fine. I put some ointment on it, so it's good.
Oh yeah,
the festering,
the bruising's all going.
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm straight. I'm good.
Something I would recommend too. If you yell a lot in a podcast or raise your voice, don't go get your nose pierced before you do it, because that expulsion of air through your nostrils, it doesn't feel very good.
There's so much blood on the.
Noted. I was going to go do that before our next recording, so I won't.
Well, we're going to take a break right here and give a little word from our sponsor.
ML Image specializes in boudoir, ink, pinup, glamour, and even nude since 2005. ML Image celebrates and highlights the female form in the most vibrant, eloquent, and sultry of portraits. ML Image is an Omaha-based photographer. You can see his work at mlimage.com. Be warned, it is not safe for work. If you are a model looking to expand your portfolio, inquiries can be made through mlimage.com or mlimage on Instagram. Consider becoming a patron for more exclusive and titillating content. You won't be disappointed. ML Image, where image is everything.
I'm literally smiling so hard my cheeks hurt.
I feel like that's a song that Dustin would use in one of his movies.
100% he should use that song.
By the way, when the whole Amityville in space thing, when I first seen the poster that popped up, instantly my head went, fucking Dustin.
He could do it. He could do anything.
He could.
With hornets.
Yeah, wow.
Sharks in space.
That's when you know something's jumped a shark. It's like, and it's now in space.
I 100% agree. Yes.
We're back on though, so.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Cool. Yeah. All right.
So that was our ML Image ad, plus some.
I feel like I know that voice from somewhere.
Which voice?
Every time I hear the ML Image, I get scared.
That's Justin.
This Justin.
When he first wakes up in the morning.
Yeah. Are you talking about my?
Think the very talented and
my voice in that?
Very, very lovely and talented Crystal Milani, the
Crystal Milani,
popular of the two Milanis.
Yep.
Justin, your wife's so cool.
She's okay.
The one that does.
She's
the
really
one
cool.
that's doing something with her life.
She does so much.
Yeah.
I bet when you walk in the door, she probably just punches you square in your mouth.
No.
Get over here! Take my shoes off!
She's like, I listened to last week's episode.
See, that's what great
8-point blocking system.
You just got to be so absurd that your wife is ridiculously offended by what you say, and that she just never listens.
I really enjoyed the episode I did with your guys' wives that you guys weren't there for. That was a fun episode. Learned some things about you guys.
I didn't learn anything.
The joys of not being married.
Oh.
You should try it. I would say it's not that it's not a joy, because you've been married, what, 5 years, 6 years?
Yes.
I've been married it'll be 15, so...
That just doesn't seem right.
Right? A lot of things become routine, but a lot of things...
Correction, it'll be 8.
Fabulous.
A lot of things are still so new. Like, you're like, oh, you do this? Like my wife farted in front of me. Like it took 15 years and she finally did it. I'm like, atta girl. I didn't know girls did that.
And now she won't stop.
If it's something that we've learned from the previous movie review, couples who fart together stay together.
Nice.
That's literally the
Full
message
circle
of that entire film.
Full circle. Just end it right
Full
here.
circle.
Can't get any better than that.
Thanks so much, you guys. It was great to be here.
I don't know. Well, congratulations. That's a big step for you guys. I don't know what to say.
Well, the big step is like when we walk in and we're like, are we going to get beat up today? Because we know Justin's wife is absolutely terrifying. And mine was a Taekwondo instructor. So I know she could break me very easily.
Break you. Over my knee like peasant egg.
I come in and she just hands me the baby. I'm like, okay, I got it.
Got this baby.
Take him. He's your half.
So,
yeah.
We're here for Dorothy. Dorothy's here for us.
Oh, yeah.
It's nice having some class in here for once.
It is.
Every time a guest comes in, I'm like, so this is the outside world. We need to get out more.
It's like that. It bees like that.
And that's why we can't go out to the outside world, because he says shit like it bees like that.
I do have another question for you.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready with an answer of some kind.
So, Harry Potter or The Magicians?
Whoa, Harry Potter every time.
Really?
I know, I'm sorry.
I thought you would say The Magicians.
I know, but
I'm more of
here's
The Magicians.
thing, right? Which I get, but like, there's something about The Magicians that has like a nihilism to it that it feels super New York to me. That's the only reason I said Harry Potter, is because there's just more innocence in the Harry Potter story. That's all.
Now, are we talking Harry Potter novels or are we talking Harry Potter movies?
Oh, the novels.
Now, the movies are
I haven't read any of the
straight
books.
up garbage.
I read the titles of the books.
That's cool.
That's
Did you read The Magicians, the book, and watch the
I did
series?
not. I just watched both.
So the
series end.
Shit, man. I haven't seen the series, so maybe that's not a fair answer.
Gotcha. The series is really good. And it might also have that New York-y thing to it, possibly.
There is something about the New York attitude, which is like, oh, everything sucks and I suck too, and I can't do anything about it.
The characters who had that in The Magicians,
angry.
they got annoying in the beginning, but at the end, like, you rooted for them for how much they've changed. So it's like, wow, man, do it.
Like Rudy.
I do like that. Yeah, take it all the way. Yeah, I did finish that book.
Like
so.
Rudy?
Like Rudy.
The football movie?
I hated him when he first started, but by the end of it, I was like, yeah, go Scrappy.
You know, that's a real thing. Like, if you can write a character that's not that sympathetic at the beginning and then later you're like, hell yeah, fuck, that's pretty impressive.
I tried that with Justin's character, but people just hated him even more by the end of the movie.
Wow.
I'm just going by what his wife told me when she saw it.
She does a lot of eye rolling, doesn't she?
Crystal could eye roll hardcore, up in there in the professional levels of eye rolling.
She's got 2 eyes, so double it.
Double the roll.
If we're going to ask questions like this, if you can take any movie characters from any 2 movies, what 2 characters would you do a crossover movie together with?
Wow, a crossover movie. I want to see Bruce Willis's Die Hard in what was I going to say? Do you guys ever see Down with Love? No, it's a 1960s remake by the guy, what's his name? It's not the football player Peyton Manning. It's by this director named Peyton something. And it doesn't make any sense because that's why it would be hilarious. So it doesn't matter since none of you have seen it, but whatever.
There's a few things he's done that didn't make sense, but was hilarious.
I love
Peyton
the
Reed.
Hudson Hornet.
Oh my gosh, Lonnie, yes, that's 100% like kind of in that same, wheelhouse.
Never heard of that.
Hudson Hawk.
Hudson Hawk, yes.
Where he and Danny Aiello just do all of these weird crime things and time it out perfectly by singing Would You Like to Swing on a Star?
Yeah, it's like a slapstick comedy mixed with kind of a gangster movie mixed with... It's got kind of a rom-com in it as well.
100%. And that's where Andy McDowell makes like dolphin noises where she's like...
Oh, yeah.
I would do a crossover movie with Marty McFly and Doc from Back to the Future and Bill and Ted from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
I feel like they fit in the same universe.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Doc would.
They just cross paths. Or it's like, was that a phone booth that just went by us? And then they end up in the same place. I just think that'd be great. And speaking of that, Dr. Scott. I'm not for like making all these old movies and like
the remakes,
doing the remakes, or even like, okay, so there was part 1 through 7. Forget 2 through 7. We're just going to focus on part 1 that took place 40 years ago, and this one that's present day is 40 years later. It takes place right after. I'm not about all that stuff. I just feel like get some original ideas. However, I really would love them to do a Back to the Future Part 4. And I know it's difficult for Michael J. Fox with his Parkinson's disease, but I mean, he still does act every now and then. But you could play that off.
Right. We rewrote Back to the Future.
That would be part of
part of his traveling through.
Yeah, that's part of the time travel is
his effect on his body and all that.
Yeah. They did like a commercial not too long ago, a couple years ago with them, and I was just like, wow, they still got it. So I don't know. I think that would be a fun crossover though with those two. And I feel like they would do it. Like Keanu Reeves will do anything.
Yeah.
So, but do you have a question like that, Lonnie?
We don't get to have answers.
Oh, no, because you're not guests. So. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
What's your answer, Lonnie?
I would probably put Dakota Fanning from Neon Demons mixed with Natalie Portman from Black Swan.
Wait, Dakota Fanning was in Neon Demons? Oh, sorry, I was thinking of Neon Maniacs. Never mind.
Oh,
the other one.
Yeah. She was a twinkle in her dad's eye.
Yeah, oh, shoot. Wow, Black Swan, Neon Demon.
I've never seen the Neon Demon one.
Neon Demon it was kind of culty. It's based on model culture, so
Keanu Reeves.
All right, Justin, what 2 taekwondo movies are you going to pick?
I would say
Jackie Chan.
It was actually going to be Jackie Chan in Rush Hour teamed up with Johnny Depp from Benny and June.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Why?
He's pulling this out of his butt.
That's pretty.
Because they're both like physically, the characters, I guess, are both physically inclined to their surroundings.
Right.
One is more comedic purposely. The other one is more accidental.
Is this a for real answer? Or are you pulling all? Because you're looking up into.
I'm figuring it out as I go.
That's usually a lot.
I never That's my imaginative. I'm looking up to the left. I'm imagining.
Because that is 2 very, very, very random characters that would make absolutely no sense.
Right.
But go ahead. Continue.
Oh, that was it.
I think Gary Oldman in anything and Tom Hanks in anything.
Chicago.
Well, you brought up Rush Hour. I think it'd be great to have Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan from Rush Hour with Danny Glover and Mel Gibson from Lethal Weapon. There's another crossover movie for you.
Wow. How about
Lethal Hour?
How about Axeman from Neon Maniacs and Victor Crowley from Hatchet?
You know, Victor Crowley and Jason Voorhees would be a fun one.
Not too similar.
Well, yeah,
so is Axeman.
They're going to fight over who's the better Axeman.
No, they're going to try to find out what happened with that fucking ambulance.
Victor Crowley and the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz.
Ooh. Question, Dorothy.
Yes.
Who would be the Lion, Tin Man, and Scarecrow out of the 3 of us?
Oh, great.
Out of the 3 of you guys? Tin Man.
Because she's Dorothy.
Lion, Scarecrow.
I could see that.
Wait. Do it again.
Tin Man,
Tin Man?
Lion, Scarecrow.
So
I don't have a heart, and you don't.
I don't have courage.
And he doesn't have a brain.
I'm told that quite a bit, so that's pretty dead on. It's funny because when I was younger, my sisters and I were kids, and my cousin would come over. We would always reenact in the woods next to my house. We'd always reenact the Wizard of Oz, and I was always the Scarecrow.
What? Did you guys reenact the lions and tigers and bears? Oh my!
Oh yeah,
that's
yeah.
That's a good.
I'd be like on a tree stump, like doing the which way type thing, and yeah, I was always a Scarecrow.
Question.
Yes.
Whatever happened to the milkman and the paperboy?
The evening TV.
I don't.
Light is waiting to carry you home.
I've got a serious question, though.
Eaten alive by piranhas. Yes. Why?
So you said you're into the occult and into...
Whoa. There's a chance my mom might listen to this.
Okay, you're into
the occult.
No, you enjoy learning about it.
Side
They kicked you out?
interest in the occult. No, but yes, go ahead.
You're not a card carrier?
Sorry. I left my card in the car. I absolutely love it. It's one of my biggest fascinations. And it was an easy transition for me getting in the occult because I came from a very Jewish background, and we had King Solomon, and then King Solomon wrote the Keys of Solomon and the Lesser Keys. So reading that to me was like, oh, it's part of our Bible. Like, it's knowledge you should know. And then I got older and got more into it and was like, wow, this is fantastic. Did you ever have any of those aha moments where you're like, oh, this means this. This is awesome?
Wow. I was just thinking, like, the place that I'm at right now with a lot of the different aspects of the occult that I've looked at is I'm amazed at how many times we've sort of recreated the wheel when we are looking at things that the mysteries of life that we want to know more about, right? Like, that's what I think about when I think about the occult. You know, whether it's tarot, whether it's the Kabbalah, whether it's, I don't know, a list of other things. Ultimately, it feels like they all just share so many similarities just right under the skin. So it's kind of like pick the thing that you're most interested in. And I guess that's something that I've just recently started to think about, especially when I think about chakras and I think about inner body energy and I think about connecting to like a intelligent universe. It seems like all of that's what those things lead to. I feel like there's an aspect of occultism that can really lead you to the desire for power.
Power and knowledge are the two biggest.
Right, that those things, then that stuff can get a little funky. And those are the things that I get a little bit freaked out about, like, okay. So, but how about you? Like, tell me more about that, the keys.
So, in growing up, it was basically a scary story to all of us. It's like there are these demons and these entities out there that you need to be prepared for. here's the way to deal with them. And then we would get the knowledge from King Solomon with the lesser keys and the keys of, well, here's a sigil, and here is what attracts him to the sigil. And then once you have them, you have the ability to use them. And when I was young, I'm like, that's so cool. I could have a demon, and he could do my homework, and he could do all this. And then all it is a bunch of D&D comic book nerds sitting around a fire trying to summon demons. And it's such a scary thing of, God, what did we do as kids? Like, how much balance did we disrupt as kids, not having an idea what we were doing, that I wake up and my back hurts or my arms will hurt. I'm like, yeah, I shouldn't have tried that. But spiritualism, the afterlife, the...
talking to spirits.
Yeah.
That's your thing. We had when we tried to move studios, we couldn't take our podcast spirit with us that we summoned on the third episode?
The only one I would talk to was Jeremy.
It was scratching me.
Yeah, and then we moved into my new house, and that thing is haunted as a motherfucker.
But it's nicely haunted.
It is nicely haunted.
The way you describe this ghost at your new house is creepy as shit to me.
It's really not bad.
And they all attack Jeremy.
You said you look down the hallway and it's peeking into the bedroom?
What's wrong with that?
He said, like, a gauntly man is
peeking into his child's bedroom.
And
the doors
into our bedroom.
Slammed shut. Right. And he's like, you want to try that again? And then it closes it nicely or something.
It's like, if I'm telling you, if I lived in a house, and they live in like it's a beautiful house, but it's like old. It's got the wood staircase. It's creaky and stuff like that. If I walked up the stairs and I saw what you described this ghost to look like peering into my bedroom, for sale sign out at a hotel.
And we did research on it. So it was built in 1911. It used to be a border house because the trains would go through Red Oak. So it's where they would stay when they were making their trips through. And then, but I had a friend of mine who is quote unquote a medium. And she told me that this is the area where they would do sinful things. And this is the area where peace would come from, and this is the area where they lived. But I say it and people give me that look that like, oh, you're full of bullshit. And then they come in and spend a significant amount of time and they're like, did your trash can just move? I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. Or like, why are your son's balls rolling all over the floor? Is he playing with them? Why is your son's
raising?
Why is your son's ball pit balls rolling all over the floor? I'm like, because they do that.
Well, we need to spend some significant time at your place.
Yeah, or at all.
Well, it's not like you're down the street, so we will. We'll spend some time there.
So you don't do spirits?
No, I don't. I honestly have a fear of attracting stuff from those places that I can't really explain it. It just, my preference is that they would just avoid me, and I then can avoid them.
Right.
Well, I think it kind of touches on like the emphasis of like the Corruptor. At least that's the way I see it. Your movie, you remember the Corruptor, right?
I'm totally down. Yep. 2017's The Corruptor.
The Corruptor.
I don't have it prepared. I'm sorry.
The Corruptor.
Corruptor. That was perfect.
Corruptor.
Yeah.
So it's like once you have the particle of the idea in there, like it kind of like grows from there. So it's like when it comes to spirits for me, I think a lot of people just attribute something that they have a loose definition of and then apply it without exercising all their resources or things. It's just like, oh, that's what it is. It's like, how do you know that? You got to deduct like a lot of the other stuff before you assign that, But I mean, yeah, there are certain places that do feel creepy that have like a little frequency that it gives off because of natural wind or water or even electrical fields that's around. But I think it's just like, I'm probably the most skeptical out of the three of us here. When we did like ghost hunts at the Squirrel Cage prison, and they feel like there was like meters that were kind of like
we did catch something though when we went Facebook Live. How do you explain that? Do you think it was the lady that was in the office? She went upstairs,
just
and
randomly
slammed
decided
firefly. Caught a firefly, a firebug, lightning bug.
I like fireflies.
I do too.
They're cool.
I do too, especially when their butts light up.
Also a great series.
When you squish them and you squish their guts everywhere, and it's still glowing.
So I used to do ghost hunting like in high school and right out of high school with my buddies. We'd go to cemeteries and stuff, and You know, my mom always said, and this is a movie I want to make someday. It's a great title. She was like, you know, those spirits are going to follow you home through your footsteps. And I was like, through your footsteps. That's a great title for like a haunted movie. But
Say
I
that
really
again. Through your footsteps. Okay.
THREW. But I do believe that some spirits did follow me home because the house we were in, before that, nothing really happened. But after I would do ghost hunting, stuff would start happening around the house. And
you got to think of it too as like a subconscious thing. When you're willing to want to believe something, you're gonna put stock in something that reminds you of that. So if you spent the whole night out ghost hunting and all of a sudden a light in your bathroom starts to go out and it flickers, your mindset is already that, oh, we're gonna find ghosts. Well, that's now a ghost.
It's like, well, okay, that's creepy.
Yeah, but
the more you exercise that thought or entertain that thought, like the more you're going to want to see the patterns.
But when you have relatives in the house that didn't know that you were talking about bringing spirits home, that were all of a sudden telling you things that they were experiencing, and you're just like, yeah, I experienced the same thing. That's something. That's not my imagination. Like, oh, the light bulb's flickering. That's a ghost.
No, it's a bad light bulb. The wires need to be tightened a little bit.
True.
My favorite ghost hunting story from being a kid growing up, we used to take my talk boy, and we would go out. There was a cemetery like 3 blocks back and 4 blocks over from where we used to live in the little town we grew up in. And we would take that talk boy and sit it on gravestones and try to do EVP sessions. And this was 30 years ago.
You were 2.
I was not 2.
Oh, close enough.
I wish I was 2. That 30 years ago is kind of an egregious, but maybe 20, 25 years ago. And we'd just turn it on and sit it on a gravestone, and we'd sit and bullshit and talk. And it would be quiet most of the time. Well, my mom knew we were out the night before at the graveyard and found the talk boy, and in all the silence she decided to record over the silence. She just screamed and stopped recording. So when we were listening to it the next day to see if we caught any ghosts, my mom's scream came over that. Oh shit, my pants.
That would have been funny.
I had a roommate who was very big Catholic. Like, he didn't play, and he had like those, typical, black chick mannerisms, like I ain't fucking with that. There was a lady who lived upstairs who would I think she had like split personality or something like that. She would like yell at her son, like, I'm the fucking devil. Like, she would go out. But if you...
Was she?
She wasn't the devil. She was just kind of deranged. But I remember ripping a lot of his CDs so that way we can like shuffle our music on my laptop. And, it's like when we're cleaning, it's like, well, do one of yours, And I used some audio to make it sound like... like backwards, something into one of his favorite, like a Sierra song or something like that. And he texted me that morning. He was listening to that, and he's like, I ain't fucking with that. Nuh-uh. You burn that. And, like, what? What did you hear? What was it?
Justin, that's terrible. You ultimately did tell him about that, right?
He knows now.
Okay, good.
He's our one listener.
Was.
So I think we're getting to the point of close to wrapping up here, but I do have a couple more questions for you. Okay. This one, back to the filmmaking. If you could pick one actor and one actress famous to work with in one of your films, who would they be?
Oh, man. Just the idea of being able to work with like a professional actor, it seems like would be a dream. I gotta be honest with you. I never have like wish lists of that, like that kind of running around in my mind. I bet the closest I've ever come is wanting Spike from Buffy to play the role of Alex Crowley's character in Heartless and have him come in and do a couple of scenes. Because, but here, I guess, isn't kind of an interesting thing is we've been working with a woman in Wisconsin who is writing a lot of screenplays, and she wrote this great screenplay called Oh Dear about zombie deer in the state park. It's such a great screenplay. It just got picked up by a production company in Canada to be made. But she has put together a crazy awesome casting list, and it's like Kate McKinnon and like all these chicks from the L Word, like some cases like people that I don't know. And so, yeah, she's definitely in a place thinking about like, cast that is out in LA or in Atlanta that is ready to like do that. But damn, Jeremy, I don't even ever consider that could be a possibility. Like, who would you work with? Like, who was on that list for you?
Well,
Peyton List.
Yeah, Peyton List. She's in the Cobra Kai series. Scout Taylor Compton, who was Laurie Strode and Rob Zombie's remakes of Halloween. Alicia Cuthbert. I mean, she was in The Girl Next Door. She was in the remake of House of Wax.
I loved her in that.
Yeah.
I loved House of Wax.
But for guys, I don't know. I am kind of excited because I did strike a deal with somebody that's not like A-list celebrity or your B-list, probably more like C-list, but they're well known in the horror community. And I talked to them, reached out to them. They're actually agreed to play a part in Unemployed W2. I don't want to say who it is just because they will be reprising. Is that it? Reprising their role in
a likeness of their role.
Yeah, a likeness of their role. But I don't know. Like guys, I don't really, I'd love to work with somebody like Kane Hodder or Tyler Mane or Derek Mears that played these iconic horror villains and stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, I tried getting Peyton List. Well, I didn't reach out to her, but I reached out to somebody that knew her, and it sounds like it'd be a lot of paperwork and a pain to go through, but
he would have to read.
I know when there's SAG, it's such a, a pain for them and for you. And I totally hear that.
Just like go by a pseudonym, like Peyton Bullet Points.
Well, that's the thing. Like I've talked to like some people that are like, well, they could be in your film, but they're going to have to go under a different name. And it's like, well, that defeats the whole purpose because you're wanting to use their name to promote your movie. So, well, okay. So you turned 65 years old and you're looking back on your life. What would you have wanted to accomplish by the age of 65?
By the age of 65, I would like to have written 2 more novels. And then I want to, I don't know, I've thought about making another feature, what that would be like, but only if I could take a giant step up. What, this is just a dream? Yes. Sometime in the next, who knows how long, someone comes to me and goes, I have a shit ton of money. You seem pretty cool. I really like the work that you do. Would you like just carte blanche to make 3 more films? And I would say yes, because that feels like a nice number. So I'll have 3 films, 3 novels, and then 3 more films. 65. Boom.
Wow.
Done.
We got 37 years to do it. So
that's so much time. It's good.
That's a lot to accomplish.
Yeah. I need to get on that. I need to find that person.
If you find their number, let us know.
Give me that money.
Are you happy with how things have gone in your life so far? Or do you like look back on certain things like, I wish that went differently, or I would have tried this?
I'm really happy with where I am right now. Am I sad? Because this is how it is for me. I reached what I would call, let's just call it a glass ceiling for filmmaking that I could not see a way to overcome. And that was, I did not have enough money or resources to up my game for another film. Chad and I took a trip out to LA probably in like 2017, 2018. And when I came back from that, I was like, the content level of stuff that's being put out right now is so high, and I do not see a way to easily do that here or a cheap way to do that out in LA. I just don't know what I would, if there's a story out there that I would fall in love with so much that I would be willing to, start the process again. Because you guys know, features, that's like, you're looking at least in my world, let's say, a 2-year commitment to making a thing. It's like having a child in some degrees, not, fully, obviously, but the idea of you're bringing a thing to life and you are then trying to set it up for success and send it out into the world. And man, right now, like the world just doesn't seem that great place for a kid of creation like that. And so that is one thing that I'm kind of bummed about. That's been like a weird thing to look at and face. And I think it's just a personal thing too. Like, I'm not trying to put that on other filmmakers at all. That's just a place that I kind of got to. And so, yeah, I like making the short films that we're making right now. And that's really cool. But yeah.
It's interesting you put it that way. Because I mean, I kind of feel somewhat similar. Like I am going to be starting on a feature length film here. I have started, but haven't started filming it yet. But yeah, it is a commitment and it's a lot of money too. And I try to swing for the fences with everything. And I give up a lot to make these movies happen, whether, we're going to try crowdfunding, but if it doesn't work, I will find a way to pay for the stuff out of my pocket. And that's kind of when we started Shorty Films. It's like short films, they're not necessarily easier to make, but they're easier to get out there for people to see, I think.
Easier for people to consume.
Yeah, it's just their attention span is not...
We live in such a fast-paced world now that people don't want to take the patience to sit down to watch a full length.
But it's also... And we've talked about this on past episodes, and it's not really a knock on the people that do this, but I feel like this world is so oversaturated with social media and all these platforms, and it irritates me when somebody creative like myself that puts their heart, soul, money, everything into a project. And, I'm grateful and I love it, even if it's just like 100, 200 people see it when it's all said and done. But it's like, then you have these people that don't have talent really, and they're making hundreds upon hundreds of dollars off of taking a picture of themselves with their cleavage showing on a OnlyFans site. And it's just like, that doesn't take talent, and they're making all this money. And not that I do this to make money, but it's just the fact that they have a following and they're not doing anything. And then you have creative people like us that they work their ass off. They put their heart and soul into stuff. And no matter how much they promote themselves and try to get it out there, they're not really reaching a big, broad crowd to watch it. So I don't even know if any of that's making any sense. But
are you more you want a lot of people to see things, but are you concerned with the amount of people or the right eyes on it? Because for me, I know like certain things are not going to, they're probably going to fall for a lot of casual viewers, but they're the people who will like really love it. Like, oh my God, that's freaking amazing. Like the 4 or 5 people in the room, it's like, nice. Well, this is why I do it for you guys.
Well, yeah, that's like what I said. Like if we put all this effort into it and only 5 people saw it, I mean, God, I hope it's more than 5 people, but if 5 people saw it, they loved it, it was worth it for me. If one person saw it, and like how you said, like when Justin's talking about your book, like, oh my God, that's just, it's great. But it's just like, it's a great feeling, and I will never be mad about that, whether the amount of people that see it, but it's just like knowing that these other people that don't have talent and they're just taking pictures of their feet and they're making all this money off of it. It's just like, what world are we living in? Like, I don't get it. It's just, it's tough. It's easier to make movies nowadays. I mean, you can make a movie with your phone and stuff like that, but it also, just because you can make a movie with your phone doesn't mean you're going to make a good quality movie with your phone. Well, but it's
being the devil's advocate in this, I do have to say what we think is talent and what we think is not talent could be vastly different from the next person.
Absolutely.
Talent is one of those terms that is so subjective, it's not even funny. So
just art itself.
When we mock someone, mock is the wrong term, but when we look at someone who makes money off feet pictures, we don't know what they're going through. We don't know the lighting they have to put up to get the right angle and shadow on their foot.
You don't need much.
Yeah, you don't need much.
But it's not the thing though. Like, for example, I'm just going to throw myself out there. I love cringy B horror movies.
Yeah.
Put me in a room with 10 other people, maybe one person will like it with me. But the dumber, the cringier, the better. But if you make a bad movie on purpose, I'm going to know about it.
Sometimes those are the best. Like, what's that one guy's name we were watching? And he's just editing himself.
Like, I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name, but yeah. No, and at the end of the day,
it's nighttime.
It's my passion to entertain people. So I don't care at the end of the day if I don't get money, because like I said, I don't do this for money. I do it for love and passion, but it's just
money.
I feel like
it would be nice to have the money, but it's just, that's not my end goal. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But it's just kind of irritating when you see these other things happening. And like, that was my big thing with YouTube, is like, it's a great way to put your stuff out there, but it's also discovered a lot of people that shouldn't be famous because they...
But think of all the content on YouTube that you look at, like some of the Vivo movies, some of the short horror films that are out there that are 2-3 minutes long, that are fucking phenomenal. Like
Black Box TV, all
Mama originally came from a 3-minute short film. Lights Out was originally a 3-minute short film. One of my favorite, Mockingbird, is literally 40 seconds, and it's one of the best tellings of a a scary story ever. It's so simple. There's hardly any dialogue in it. It's just great. It's just the way you work with the canvas you are given.
And here's the thing, whether somebody makes a movie and it's a masterpiece or it's really low budget, amateur looking, having made a movie myself and knowing the process of it, I give kudos to anybody that's ever put a movie together, even if it's like some kid in 6th grade with his buddies and it's really crap and thrown together. Kudos. They did something that a lot of people don't have the patience to do.
Or the balls or the heart or the...
Yeah. This is kind of a two-parter here. I'm pretty sure Jeremy and I kind of fall in the line, maybe Lonnie too, but anything that we make, we know there's going to be hate on it. It's like, I'm not trying to please everybody. I'm just trying to express the art. Judging by today's culture and how like vastly different things are, like 10 years ago when you were making stuff.
Real.
What are your thoughts on taking on a project these days? Like, do you feel like you have to cater? Do you have to water certain things down, make the hard cuts for something? Do you feel like you have that same passion, or does it just depend on the piece? And you usually play it relatively safe, but certain areas will easily get the knock on it.
Oh my God. You know, yeah, I would say when you're making movies at a micro budget level, I feel like I certainly started to recognize that I need to embrace the flaws or my inability to reach what we think of as a professional film that comes out of Hollywood or looks a certain way, especially when I think about things that feel so out of my control, like a talent level for an actor or actress playing a particular role. Like, what can I get for here? And so I guess when I think about like the commentary or how a film might be received, right? Because that's kind of what you're asking, like, what's the thing that I think about with that? Man, I would say in the films that I've made, I've just skipped into it joyfully. Like, I can't even imagine that people wouldn't like this. And it's only kind of towards the end where I start to go, wow, I don't know if we really reached, like a level of professionalism that can't really be given a lot of shit. You can't give a lot of shit for it. Like when you look at just people's effects work, for instance, right? That's something that can easily come under fire. I think I'm answering your question. Is that kind of the vein that you were thinking
For the
about?
most part, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much right on point. But it's like for you, and I hate to excuse the comparison, but like for you, like you have the name, I'm like, it's freaking Dorothy Booraem. I'm like, yeah, let's go see it. It's like she's one of those McDonald's that has the playground in it. That's let's go there.
The ball pit. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry to compare you to McDonald's, but you're not anything like McDonald's.
No, I love McDonald's, so it's good. It's cool.
Yeah.
Woo, we should probably wrap this up. So.
Yeah.
So
I know. I'm sorry.
I would say, let's just
We're actually at our mark anyway. So.
Let's plug where we can see some of your stuff, where they can read your book. Now you got the mic.
Sweet.
Wrap it up.
Yeah. So definitely go to Amazon. All of my films are available for rent there. So you can watch Wake the Witch. You can watch The Witchening. No, I'm just kidding. That's not actually one of my films. You can watch
Wake the Witch 2.
Blood Rights.
The Electric Boogaloo.
Blood Rights. You can watch Corruptor. Those movies can also be watched on Vudu. And you can watch them on Tubi if you also want to give us that sweet, sweet ad revenue. That's cool too. I'm about for that. So we have short films and a web series called Inside Out that's pretty good. You can check us out at Unfiltered-Ent.com. That's where links to a lot of my stuff is. And then I have a novel out right now that's called Heartless that you could buy. It's just a digital novel on Amazon, Barnes & Noble's website, or Smashwords. So please check out the entertaining things that I have made. Thank you.
Well, no, thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming out. Really enjoyed talking with you. Like I said, I've always looked up to you as a filmmaker, and even as a person. Like I see you at festivals or events and stuff, and you're always so polite, so nice, so upbeat about everything.
Very bubbly.
So, yeah, you definitely.
Inviting.
I think a lot of people see that in you, and they respect you for it. And also, you're very talented at what you do. So.
I don't really know anybody who doesn't want to work with you.
Yeah.
But I think I'm probably just projecting my... It's like, you probably want to work with her too, don't you?
I got to say, this has been an incredibly awesome experience for me. Thank you guys so much for the love and just for the opportunity to talk with other artists. Like,
And Lonnie.
Like, I'm looking at you, Lonnie, as I say that. It's like, a cool drink of water on a hot day. Like, you need it.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is great.
Is this the first podcast you've done?
It's not the first podcast that I've
Shut
done.
up.
But it's the best.
But it's the best podcast. That
Well, thank you, Miss Dorothy Booraem, Lady D, our awesome, talented. Here, give her one more.
The delightful, devastating debonair.
I feel like I'm watching a commercial for like perfume or something.
I expect Drew Barrymore to come out for some reason. Buy my perfume at Target.
She just showed me her phone, 1111.
Oh, and there it is. On that, we'll head on out. That's a sign of chaos and destruction. Or strength. It could be strength.
We're all going to die.
Or that we pay way too much to the number one.
Thank you guys for listening to episode 038 with Dorothy Booraem. We have a movie podcast, which we didn't release. What is it, Lonnie?
It is from the 1990s amazing film Begotten that Justin's going to randomly talk about for 2 hours because it's going to blow his mind.
I will be here in spirit.
I'm not going to have a noodle.
It's going to be great. If you guys want to watch it ahead, it is on YouTube. I don't know how it's still on YouTube, but it's still there.
Check it out. Thank you guys.
Don't check it out.
And good night.
Love you.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Join us next time for more absurdity that only the guys from the Boundless PodTrap can bring you.